having those issues, but I think everything should be fine. So, yeah, one of the questions that I asked a little earlier is how many of you are working from home mostly now due to the coronavirus? So let me just get an idea as to how many of you are actually working from home, needing to work from home. And then a follow-up question to that is how many of you are now needing to use tools like Zoom or GoToMeeting or something like that to do your office meetings or do whatever kind of meetings? Are you now needing to use video communications to do that? How many of you are needing to do that? Go ahead and type that into the chat box, your response to that. So how many of you are working from home and how many of you are now using video communications a little more? Would love to hear that. Using Zoom for class meetings, Sakshi, okay. Cool. Yeah, so while you go ahead and type that in, today we're going to be talking about how you can stop feeling anxious so you can say what you want to say, especially under pressure. So that's the topic for today's webinar, okay? How you can stop feeling anxious so you can say what you want to say, especially under pressure. Now, before we get to that, most of you probably know who I am, but just wanted to give you a brief introduction to let you know why I'm able to stand here before you and talk to you, like, why should you listen to me? And one reason is because growing up, as many of you know, I struggled with my speech, right? I stuttered, sometimes severely, sometimes not so severely. Sometimes I would go through seasons. But for the most part, from the time I was in maybe second grade all the way up, I can remember stuttering. I can remember needing to go to speech therapy. And around the second grade, I remember being pulled out of class and being taken to speech therapy, which frustrated me more, and it didn't really help. It's not that speech therapy doesn't help, it just didn't help me. So I remember being in class and wanting to raise my hand, but just not being able to say the things that I wanted to say. I don't think anyone else in my class struggled with that. In fact, I don't think I met anyone else when I was going through school who stuttered. At least I can't remember. So this was something that I took with me all the way through high school, all the way through college, beyond college, until one year I figured out something that helped transform my speech. And then it would be some, 10, 15, 20 years later when I began to take what I learned and help other people with it. So stuttering was something that was a part of my life. But there's some of you that are going to be watching this video who don't stutter. So this video and my service isn't just for people who stutter, but it's for people who struggle to articulate their thoughts smoothly, clearly, and confidently, especially under pressure. That's when it usually crops up the most, is when you're under any kind of pressure. And pressure situations can be different for different people, right? For some people, and others may not understand this, for some people, a pressure situation could be answering the phone. It could be giving your name or your social security number or your address. It could be ordering coffee. For other people, that stuff is easy. It's not a problem. It's when they're in a meeting and a manager comes in or a supervisor, or just in a meeting and they have to express their thoughts, or in an interview or a presentation. These would be high pressure situations for other people. So high pressure situations can vary depending on the person, depending on the speech, right? So today we're specifically going to talk about how you can stop being anxious, and more accurately, how you can stop allowing anxiousness to keep you, to prevent you from saying the things that you want to say, right? So we're going to talk about why this happens, just a few reasons why this happens, and then what you can do about it, why it happens, and what you can do about it, okay? So let's first talk about what are some of the reasons that people become anxious, especially under pressure, right? What are some of the reasons that people become anxious, especially under pressure? So one reason is because I've got several reasons here. One reason, in fact, let me ask you, give me one or two reasons why you think people become anxious under pressure. And I'm just going to give you guys a minute. I want to see what kinds of answers you come up with. Type into the chat box a couple of reasons why you think people become anxious under pressure. So we're talking under pressure. We're talking about meetings, presentations, important conversations, interviews. Why do people become anxious? What are a couple of reasons? Previous unsuccessful speaking experiences. Okay, very good. Anticipation. All right. Anticipation of getting stuck and embarrassed. Just afraid of what people will think about you. Okay. Good. Expectation. All right. Great answers. So keep typing those in. So one reason is, yes, anticipation, right? And we'll talk about kind of what that means. Anticipation, we'll also put expectations under here. We're also going to put, now these are all related, right? Fear of judgment, right? Fear of judgment. Okay. Now I'm going to put some other ones here that you may not have thought of as being reasons why, but in a sense they are. And sometimes these can be the effects of anxiousness, but now this is a big one for a lot of my clients. Accents. Feel rushed. Okay. There's another one here. Authority. And I'm just going to put some keywords here and then we'll break these down. Okay. So let's see what you guys have come up with. All right. Got some great ones in here. Past bad experiences. Yes. Your mind calculates different things. Judgment, public speaking, not feeling you're an important person. Becomes a part of our personality. Fear of ridicule. There will be no time to concentrate on speaking well. Okay. Great. Very good. So one reason that people can become anxious is because they're anticipating or expecting what? The worst. They're expecting the worst to happen. And we all know this from personal experience, but I also know it from talking to people, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people, and hearing from people, definitely thousands of people, hearing them say, like, what were you thinking about before the event, before whatever it was? Well, I was thinking about that I was hoping that I was trying to avoid or prevent getting stuck or avoid this. So they were thinking about, or they were trying to not do whatever it was that they didn't want to do. So they didn't want to get stuck. They didn't want to embarrass themselves. So that's what they were thinking about. They were thinking about what they didn't want to do. So they were anticipating the worst that could possibly happen. If not the worst, they were anticipating something bad happening, or they were thinking about what they didn't want to happen. Fear of judgment. This is a big one. This is almost at the core. So, and some of you have said this as well. So they were thinking about or afraid of what people would think about them, what they would think about them in general, what they would think about them if they said the wrong thing, right? So they wanted to make sure that they performed well, that they spoke smoothly, that they articulated their thoughts well. But they were also afraid of what people would think of them if they didn't. Okay, so this is a big one. Believe it or not, and the reason I know this is because I have a brand new client, and I've had other clients who've said this as well. Believe it or not, if you already know that you speak fast, okay, or you speak choppy, this can cause you to feel what? Anxious. So before a higher pressure speaking situation, I'm just going to give you an example. I have had many clients who needed to go through examinations, PhD examinations, medical boards, and so forth. And many of them are bilingual, right? And their examinations may have been in English. And so what tends to happen to them is they tend to speak relatively quickly, right? Normally. And when they become anxious, their accent kind of takes over. They start speaking quickly. They start feeling rushed because sometimes it's time. And then the person or people are not able to understand them. This happens a lot. So because they know that they speak too fast, and because they know when they get anxious, they speak even faster, and because they know that they have an accent, then they start becoming anxious, which causes the very thing to happen that they've been anticipating that they want to avoid, is that they start speaking too fast and people are not able to understand them, right? And so we've had people who've literally not done well. They were competent. They knew exactly what they were talking about. Even people who didn't have accents, right? They were native-born English speakers, but when they got anxious, they started speaking fast and people weren't able to understand what they were saying. Okay, or they started speaking choppy. So this can cause anxiousness. Here's another one. And often it's a combination of these things, right? Someone said they can't see me. Let me just check in with you guys. Can everyone see me okay? If you can, just type in yes. So it may, okay, great. Very good. So that may just be something on your side, sir. All right, so here's another one. This is a big one, believe it or not. We're talking about reasons why this happens. Authority. When someone in authority comes into the room, everything can change. So you may have been speaking well the whole time. Could be a meeting. You may have been speaking well, but then someone in authority comes into the room and all of a sudden everything changes, right? This could be a teacher, a professor, it could be a supervisor, a director, a president, VP, whoever. But as soon as they come in the room, everything changes. Now we'll talk about why does that happen, right? Audience. So for some people, it's the size of the audience. For some people, it's the fact that there is an audience. For other people, if there's just a few people, and sometimes there's a number, like if there's 3 or 4 people, they're fine. 5 people, maybe they're okay. Once it gets over a certain number, they start feeling more anxious. So sometimes it's the size of the audience that can cause one to feel more nervous and more anxious and therefore not be able to perform well. Does this make sense? All right. So now let's go just a little deeper and talk about, well, I'm not going to get into the deep science of this, but often what happens is when we are faced with, and let's start with audience. If there are people there, a certain number of people, and it goes above the number that you feel comfortable, you may start becoming more self-conscious. That is, you may start monitoring your performance, monitoring how you're speaking, monitoring what you're saying, the words that you're using. You may start being overly concerned with, am I saying the right thing? Am I sounding intelligent? Am I giving the proper answer? Am I articulating my thought? So you start self-monitoring, right? Become overly self-conscious. And what this tends to do is it can trigger your fight or flight mechanism, right? And your body literally takes over in a sense where you start sweating, or you start feeling this sense of unsettledness in your stomach. Some people have to go to the bathroom. Some people, their breathing gets shallow, right? And so this is that whole mechanism that's activated when we're in danger. So we feel like we're in danger. And when this happens, we are not able to consciously think as clearly as we would if we felt relaxed. Because when we're in danger, certain things need to happen very, very quickly. We need to be, our muscles, our respiratory system, everything needs to be able to respond very, very quickly. And so we don't have time to think about it. So it bypasses our prefrontal cortex, our thinking brain, our executive brain that makes decisions, that makes choices, that contemplates, that thinks. It bypasses that and it says, wait a minute, we need to go right into action right now. We need to run, we need to fight, we need to move, we need to stop, right? We need to stiffen up. And so when we feel like we're in danger, all of a sudden, and you've probably experienced this, your breathing gets shallow, everything starts to tighten up. Maybe you start to sweat, maybe you dry up, and you're not able to think as clearly. You knew exactly what you wanted to say. You had practiced it, you rehearsed it, but all of a sudden, it doesn't want to come out, right? Well, this is a major part of the reason why. Now, here's a problem with that. So that's a mechanism that we need, right, when we're in danger. But we don't need that mechanism to be activated in public speaking situations, because what it does is it works against us. We're now not able to access the knowledge and the information that we've been practicing or that we want to say, that we want to communicate, because we've been shut off from that information, right? Our prefrontal cortex is just not able to be activated or used at that time. So what do we need to do about it? Well, that's what we'll talk about a little later. But hopefully now you can understand that when you begin to anticipate or fear the judgment of others, or when you think, okay, I'm going to speak too fast, or you start speaking really fast, you know that you have an accent, so you become self-conscious about that, which causes you to become anxious, which causes you to feel rushed and speak too fast, right? Or when you are self-monitoring too much because, oh, here's someone in authority, they're in the room, they're going to be judging me, they have the ability to affect my income, my pay, my status, I need to be able to perform well, right? Or wow, there's a lot of people in here, I don't want to be embarrassed. When those things happen, all of a sudden, you're simply not able to perform as well as you could, okay? So I'm sure that all of you have experienced this. So then the next question is, what can we do about it? So let me just take a pause here and look at some of the comments. So Robin says, I'm often in the fight, flight, and freeze response when speaking to all types of people. Okay, so I was going to mention this before, but sometimes this fight or flight, this anxiousness, nervousness can occur so often that it becomes a person's almost their normal state. Whenever they're faced with any kind of speaking experience or situation, their normal state is to feel this way, right? So this is on the extreme end, maybe not on the extreme end, but it's over on that extreme side where whenever they have to talk to someone, that's how they feel. Okay, so it's kind of a normal response for them. So what we have to do is we have to begin to desensitize you to those kinds of situations. And so there's some work that needs to be done both psychologically and physically so that you can go out and speak to different people and feel more relaxed and feel confident. And that's what the Pro 90D Smooth Speech, or now what I call the Ultimate Confident Successful Speakers program, is all about, right? It's to help you desensitize yourself, to give you a systematic way to change the way that you see yourself, the way that you feel, the way that you think, the way that you speak. Now, someone else says, Do we have permission to ask a question that's not exactly related to the topic? You can ask it, and I'll try to get to it at the end. Okay. So if you want to ask it, let me just have you save it for the end. All right. So yes, it's your default state, hard to surrender. Very good. Will we be able to rewatch this webinar somehow? Yes, you will be able to rewatch the webinar. You'll receive a link to watch the webinar. Great questions. So let's now talk about what we can do about it. So we've talked a little bit about why this happens, right? And here's the thing that you guys will recognize. Just learning information generally isn't enough to change the way you respond and react to these higher pressure speaking situations. That is, you can read books, you can watch videos like this, you can listen to audios, you can learn information, but that's not generally enough to change your habitual way of responding, to change your habitual way of thinking, of feeling, and of speaking. We have to do something else to change those habits. That is, how you generally respond or react when you're in certain situations, how you feel, how you speak. Okay. So just hearing the information isn't enough. That's good. It's a good start, but it's not enough. We have to do something on a daily basis, on a weekly, on a monthly basis, to create a new pattern of thinking, a new pattern eventually of feeling, and definitely a new pattern of speaking. If you don't do something, then you'll just continue to learn information, which makes you feel good, but you'll continue to respond and react in the same way, right? And that's what's happened to a lot of people, is that they learn stuff, but they haven't been able to implement it or execute it. And there's a reason for that. And that's what we're going to get into now. Is we're going to talk about some very, very simple things that you may have heard me talk about, but then we're going to show you how you can implement it. Okay. So let's take a look now. I'm going to just share my screen with you. So give me a moment to get this set up here. We're going to now look at some specific steps. And we're going to go, I'm going to take these steps because there's no need for me to try to recreate them. Take these steps right out of the Ultimate Confident Speaker's Success System. I'm going to come right out of the program. And we're going to look at how to relax, be calm, and slow down. And we're going to look at something very, very specific. Some of you have heard me talk about this, and it's called the Simple S Formula. Okay. So, and the reason that we're going to look at this is because it explains exactly what I want you to know. And I'm repeating some things that some of you have heard before because it works, right? There's no need to come up with something else or a different way to say it. This just works. So let's just take a look at it again. One of the things that I learned from my clients and from personal experience and from research is that just by doing this one thing, you can often achieve 80% of the results that you're looking for. Sometimes more, sometimes a little less, but just by doing this one thing. So this is what I learned from my clients, and that is slowing down. Now, here's the thing. People can tell you to slow down, but how do you actually do it? They can say, okay, just slow down, or just relax, or just calm down. All right, well, that's great. But how do I do it? All right, so that's what we're going to look at, is the how. Before we do that, let's just talk about some of the benefits. And the benefits go directly to the challenges that you may find that you're having in a meeting, in an interview, in a phone call, in a high stakes speaking situation, right? Any high pressure speaking situation where you feel anxious, these benefits are going to address that. All right. So number one, when you learn to slow everything down, you're going to feel more relaxed. How do I know it? Because my clients tell me, right? They tell me, oh, I felt more relaxed. I felt more relaxed. you're going to feel more in control, right? You're going to feel more in control of you. So you're going to feel more relaxed, which means that fight or flight status or mode that you're in slowly begins to subside, or sometimes it quickly subsides. And now your thinking gets clearer. You're able to access your thoughts, right? The ideas, the message that you wanted to communicate. So you feel more relaxed. Your body feels more relaxed. You're breathing, and you feel more in control. Like you're able to say what you want to say. Okay. And as we said earlier, you're able to think more clearly. So have you ever been in an interview or in a meeting or where you just felt stressed or nervous or anxious and just forgot what you wanted to say, just lost your train of thinking? Has that ever happened to you? Right. Well, the reason why is because of anxiousness. And one of the solutions is this. So when you slow everything down, you're able to model more easily. Now, what do I mean by model? Some of you heard me talk about this. Modeling means when you're able to step outside yourself and become your model and speak like your model. There's a book called give me just a second, The Alter Ego Effect. Yeah, I think it's called The Alter Ego Effect. Look that up. Now, this guy goes into detail. He has a lot of science to back this up, a lot of experience, very successful guy. And he expands on modeling and uses modeling in his work, and talks about how athletes and all kinds of different professionals use modeling to take their performance to a whole new level. Now, I just read this book maybe a month ago or so. I've been using modeling for more than a decade. In fact, well, I've been teaching it for more than a decade. I've been using it for more than 2 decades. So I don't want you to think, which there's nothing wrong with this, but I didn't get the book and say, oh, let's just do this. Let's just try this because it's in this book. I've been using this for 2 or 3 decades, but I've been teaching it at least for the last 10 years. But this book will expand your mind on the power and the effectiveness of modeling, the alter ego effect. So you're going to want to check this book out. All right, so you can model more easily. There's a lot of power in modeling. So here's what you can do. It's called the simple ask formula. So we're going to talk now about what can you do so that you can stop being anxious and start saying what you want to say, especially under pressure. What can you do to stop the anxiousness and start articulating your thoughts, confidently articulating your thoughts, especially under pressure? Well, one of the first things, and this is a habit, and you'll learn this in this program here, right? One of the habits that you have to develop is the habit of talking to yourself. Now, there's 3 important times. Actually, there's 2 really important times, and the third one is kind of important as well. But there's 2 really important times where you need to be able to monitor what you're thinking, right? And actually talk to yourself. One time is before the speaking situation. The other time is during the speaking situation. You do have enough mental capacity to talk to yourself during a speaking situation. So you can interject thoughts while you're speaking, while you are articulating whatever it is that you're articulating. I'm doing it right now. Just for practice sake, I'm telling myself, just relax, just slow down. Not that I feel anxious, but I'm just doing it on purpose. While I'm saying exactly what I want to say to you, I'm also telling myself, relax, just slow down, take your time, right? So you can do this while you're speaking, especially if it's in a conversation. When they're talking, you can take a microsecond and just tell yourself, just relax, just slow down, take your time, it's okay. All right. So you can do this. I've taught this to people. I've done it myself. Other people have done this. This does work. So here's one thing that you'll need to do leading up to whatever the speaking situation is. If it's an examination, it's an interview, it's a meeting, it's a presentation, conversation. You affirm this. I can take my time and say what I want to say when I want to say this. This is very important. When you say this, you're taking back control. Right? It's one of the ways for you to slow everything down. So you have to affirm it. Now, you can't just affirm it once and expect it to work. You're going to have to affirm it over and over and over and over and over. You affirm, I can, or you can even use the word you. You can take your time and say what you want to say when you want to say it. So one of the things that happens to people is that they feel rushed. They feel like, oh, there's a time on this. I have to say this right now. I have to say this quickly. I have to get this done. And if I don't, I'm going to be in trouble, or I'm not going to be able to finish this, or people are not going to pay attention. They're not going to want to listen. Often, some of those things are not true. In fact, I had a client who's PhD, and he told me that when he learned to slow down, he found that the same presentation he could do faster by speaking slower. Okay? So he was more efficient when he slowed down. He was more precise. He was more concise when he slowed down than when he was speaking faster. So trust me, when you slow down, you'll be able to think clearer. You'll be able to access the precise words that you want to use. You'll be able to be more efficient and smoother than when you're speaking really fast. Okay? So affirm this. Tell yourself this over and over and over again. I can take my time and say what I want to say when I want to say, not when you want me to say it, but when I want to say it, I can do it. So you affirm this. All right. So that's the A in the ASS formula. The S. The S. Speak super slow. Tell yourself to speak super slow. Now, why do I say super slow? Well, the reason is that for some people, when they tell themselves to speak slow, it's not enough. Right? They just slow down a little bit. And I've watched my clients do this. Slow down a little bit, but it's not enough. So you may have to tell yourself to speak super slow. Now, there's a caveat here. I don't want you to define super slow as speaking as though there's something wrong with you, right? So when I say super slow, I don't mean speaking like this. That's just too slow, right? So for you, super slow may mean speaking like this. May mean articulating your words better and just really slowing down your speech, but not dragging out your speech like this, right? So it's very important that when I say super slow, it may not sound or feel very normal for you because it's slower than what you're used to. But for other people, especially if you have this is important. I want to just take a second here. Okay. Many of you who are watching this, or at least some of you, are going to have accents. You're going to be bilingual. I'd say most of my current clients, most of my current audience are bilingual. They're from all over the world. And often they have accents. And often their mother tongue is one in which the pace of the speech is fast. Right? It's fast. So if they bring that over to English and they have an accent and they're anxious, often it's very, very difficult for people to understand them, which means when you're speaking English, and probably when you're speaking your own language too, just for practice sake, you're going to need to slow it down and articulate more so that people can understand you. All right. And when you slow it down, you're going to feel more relaxed. You're going to feel more in control. You're going to be able to perform better. So, and it doesn't mean you're going to have to speak slow forever, right? Just until your body, your brain has gotten used to articulating clearly in English or in whatever language, articulating clearly, then sometimes you can speak more dynamically. You can speed it up because you're able to speak more clearly. So you have to tell yourself to speak super slow. That may just move you. So imagine kind of like a range here. And let's say this is like fast and this is slow, right? Or super slow. And if someone says, okay, I just want to slow down. So if they tell themselves just slow down, well, they may only come over to here. I mean, I've seen people just slow down just a little bit. You may actually need to come over to here. So in order to do that, you may need to tell yourself to speak super slow in order just to get close to the middle. Okay. So it's kind of a way to trick your brain into slowing down enough. This will, in most cases, feel uncomfortable. It will, in most cases, feel unnatural. That's perfectly normal. In fact, if it feels uncomfortable and it feels a little unnatural, that's good. That means you're doing exactly what you need to do. That means you're not speaking the same as you usually speak. So you tell yourself to speak super slow, and it will probably bring you right where you need to be. Now, is this something that you just need to tell yourself once? No, it's not going to work, right? You got to tell yourself this over and over and over again. Not only do you have to tell yourself this in the situation, but you need to start practicing it before you get into a high pressure speaking situation. Why? Because if you don't, you won't be able to implement it under pressure. 9 chances out of 10, you won't be able to do it. Of course, there are some people who can, but most likely you won't be able to. So you'll need to start practicing doing it in low to no pressure speaking situations. And then finally, you're going to want to stop letting others dictate when you speak and how fast you speak. So that's the final S in the ASS formula. You stop letting others dictate. So that means you're in a room, you're in a meeting, you're in a conversation, you're in an interview, and someone in authority is in there, or someone who has the ability to hire you or to impact you in some way. All of a sudden, because that person's there, you become overly self-conscious, and it affects your ability to articulate your thoughts confidently, smoothly, and clearly, right? So one of the things that you have to do, and I'm going to give you one affirmation that you can use, but you have to diminish the importance of that person. One way to do that is you tell yourself, wait, I really don't care who this person is. I don't care who's in the room. I am going to, let's go back to the first one. I am going to take my time and say what I want to say when I want to say it. Right? I'm going to say what I want to say when I want to say it. I don't really care who's in the room. I don't really care who they are. You tell yourself that to diminish their importance. Why? Because what's often happening is we're blowing their importance out of proportion, right? And we're allowing that to affect our ability to do what we're there to do. So if you're in an interview, you're there to confidently, to clearly, to accurately answer their questions. But if you're being impacted and affected by who's there, then you're not able to do that, right? So it's hurting you to be thinking about who they are and what they're thinking of you. So what you have to do is kind of go in the opposite direction. It doesn't mean that you become disrespectful, right? But what you do is just say, I really don't care who they are. I can still take my time, say what I want to say when I want to say it. Now, here's the question that we want to answer here. One of the questions that we want to answer is, how do we implement these things, right? So there's a lot of things, as you can see in this course. And this course is designed to give you the solutions to the challenges that you face in speaking, especially under pressure. And why is that important? Well, if you're unable to communicate well, and you're unable to communicate, especially under pressure, it probably is going to cost you a lot of money over the course of your lifetime and even in the short term, right? So you're not going to be able to get the job that you want. If you're in school and you have examinations, you're not going to be able to pass those examinations. I can't tell you how many clients I've had who are going through medical boards and all kinds of other boards. And sometimes, or initially, they didn't do well at first, and they said, I got to do something about my speech, or else all these tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars I've spent will go to waste, right? So that's a direct impact that your speech has on your income. All right, that's one. Another one, getting the jobs that you want. If you're not able to handle yourself and speak well in an interview, you're not going to get the kinds of jobs that you deserve. You're competent, you're intelligent, you're smart, but you won't be able to get the jobs that you deserve or that you want. Okay. Say you got the job, you're in the job. Now you want to move up. You want to take your career to the next level. You want to get another position. You want to move into leadership. You won't be able to do it if you can't communicate effectively, especially under pressure. That's what leaders do, right? And you can do all the research you want in the world on this, and you're going to find the same thing, that leaders in companies are looking for people who can communicate well. There are certain positions you can get away with not communicating that well, but at some point you're going to have to communicate. Just think about what's going on right now with this coronavirus. Now, I know this for a fact. Zoom and Demio, the software that we're using right now, have both said that they've seen a huge increase in people using video communications. Now, what does that mean? Well, they're using video communications. You're going to have to speak, right? Sometimes your video is going to be there. Sometimes it's going to be voice. You're going to have to speak, right? And this whole experience is going to change the way that we do business globally going forward. More people are going to start finding ways to work from home. More companies are going to start using methods where people are able to work from home, right? Because it can be more efficient. They're going to figure out ways to make it work now and say, hey, we can save a lot of money. This is going to be a lot more efficient. They've already been doing it. They're going to start doing it more. So it's not going to mean that you'll have to communicate less. More than likely, you'll have to learn to communicate more, just in a different way. Some of you have already experienced this. Jobs, interviews. Many interviews take place over Zoom or GoToMeeting or something similar. Some interviews are automated where you have to watch a video, answer a question within a certain amount of time. I'm thinking of a specific client that had to do that. And then maybe your next stage is to meet people via video. They're going to see your face. You're going to have to be able to articulate, right? So your ability to communicate is, in fact, going to impact your income at some point, right? So you need to be able to speak well. And what you're going to need in order to do that is a systematic process that helps you change your habits, your patterns. So I want you to listen to this very, very carefully. Remember I said earlier that you can learn all this stuff. You can go to classes, you can take workshops, you can speak to the experts, global experts, and they can teach you great information. Not going to help. Might only help a little bit. What's going to help you? What's going to help you is literally changing your patterns of thinking and feeling, but more importantly, thinking and acting or speaking. You have to change your patterns. So how do you do this? Well, in this course, this is a training course, the Ultimate Confident Speaker Success System, as well as with our coaching. One of the things that you learn, and this is what's different from this program than all of my other programs, is we've adopted what we call small, easy steps. So in this program, for example, the things that we just showed you here, you're going to be able to take the actions that you need to repeat on a daily basis and break them down into very, very small, easy steps. So let me give you an example. Affirmations, one habit, self-talk, breathing exercises. Many of my clients say that before an important meeting, they do several or many 7-7-7 breathing exercises. So right here, you talk about breathing exercise. So you have to develop the habit of doing these things, the habit of talking to yourself, the habit of slowing down. Well, sometimes that can be overwhelming, or you just might not feel like doing it. Well, in this program, what we do is we break it down into small, easy steps, and we teach you how to do just a little bit every day so that your priority, now listen to this is critical. Your priority isn't to focus on the result that you want. The result is you want to be able to speak confidently, smoothly, and clearly, right? That's what we want. Under pressure, you want to just feel good about yourself. Like one of my other clients just recently told me, he says, I feel great when I'm in meetings, when I'm talking to a supervisor or manager. I feel confident, I feel good, I feel great. All right, so you want to be able to do that. That's the result. How do you do that? Well, you have to be able to break that down to a very, very small step, something that you do. So your priority is to create the habit first, because if you create the habit will give you the results you're looking for. So remember that. The habit, if you create the habit, it will give you the results you're looking for. This program helps you create the habits, and in a way that you can't not do it. So let's just say, for example, you don't feel like doing 10 777s. Well, this program may say, okay, start with 1 777 every day to create the habit. And once you do one, you may want to do more, but just minimally do one, right? Or maybe you don't feel like talking to yourself all throughout the day. Well, just pick one moment in the day where you remind yourself to do something. Everyone can do that. It doesn't take any stress, barely takes any effort. So it's creating the habit. There are 5 essential habits. We won't go through those today. 5 essential habits that you must have to become successful in almost anything, but especially in speech. And one of those habits has to do with audio listening, right? Audio listening, taking in the information that you need, right, to change the way that you speak, the way that you think. Taking that information in is not enough, as we said, right? But it is one of the first steps. A lot of people don't have the habit of audio listening. So where do you get this audio? Well, you can go out and you can get videos from here and you can get audios from there. Or you can come to one place, this program here, the Ultimate Confident Speaker Success System, where we've created very, very specific audios and videos, especially for you. They're designed especially to help you take your speech to the next level, take your confidence to the next level, right? They're designed to help you do that, so you don't have to go anywhere else. You can come right here and do that. So that's a major habit. Self-talk. Well, how do you talk to yourself? How often do you talk to yourself? That's in the program, right? We tell you how to do it systematically so that you don't have to guess how to do it. It's in here. And the difference between what we do in this program and other programs is you can do it in a way where you don't feel overwhelmed. You can ease yourself into it. Small, easy steps. That's the way that we do it. So you have a voice. You have things to say that are very, very important. And you deserve to be heard. You deserve to be heard. Meetings, interviews, presentations, there's things that you want to do. You deserve to be heard. This course can help you get better jobs, better positions, promotions. Just this year, I've helped a handful of people get better jobs. I had a guy, I'll tell you about 2 guys real quick. A few years ago, one guy, very intelligent programmer, his name was David, worked with me in about a month and a half, had some interviews lined up. He got a job making $35,000. It was around 35, might have been more, but I'm just going to go low. $35,000 more than what he was already making. Not getting a job, making 35. It was $35,000 more just because he tweaked his communication skills. Because he used to have a bad, really, really severe stammer. Boom, just by making that change. Another guy who was a student, he was already working with me within about a month and a half. he got 2 additional jobs, effectively doubling his income. Now, he wasn't working 2 jobs at the same time. He just got an interview, got that job, got another interview, got that job, and doubled his income, more than doubled his income. So working on your speech using this system can help you get better jobs, earn more money, but also you gain more respect, right? Because when you're able to communicate effectively, especially under pressure, people respect you. You're able to get your thoughts out. Do you feel like you're trapped in your own mind? Socially and professionally, you got things you want to say, you want to participate, you want to tell stories, you want to tell jokes, and you can't. This will help you get those thoughts out of your head, out into the audience, out into the ears of other people. You can participate in more discussions. You can feel more relaxed and comfortable. Okay, so here are the things that you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to stop worrying, because we change what you think about leading up to the meeting or leading up to the experience. You're going to learn how to reframe anxiousness so that you turn anxiousness to excitement. If I have a big meeting, I could say I feel a little anxious, or I could say I feel excited. The way those 2 things impact me is differently. One drains me, one gives me energy. So you learn how to do that. You learn how to stop getting distracted by, oh, I wonder what they're going to think. I hope I don't embarrass myself. I hope that I learn how to cut that off. I don't even think about that anymore, right? How to articulate your thoughts more clearly. How to speak smoothly so that people actually want to listen to you and they want to hear more. I have a client named Jason. People now, his directors, people 2 levels above him, love to listen to him. They love to hear him, and they're giving him more opportunities. They want more from him, right? How to speak confidently so that people trust you, they believe you, they want to follow you, right? So that's what this course does. Now, is this for you? Well, this course is not for everyone, but if you have an accent, if you speak too fast, if you have things coming up, examinations, important meetings, interviews, whatever, if you have things coming up, now's the time to work on, especially the fact that many of you are working from home, your schedules have changed, a lot of things are moving online. Now's the perfect time for you to work on your speech. This is an investment in yourself. It's an investment in yourself. It's a relatively small investment in yourself that you can see the returns relatively quickly. So this is for you. What we're going to do now is I'm going to have Myra, I'm going to stop the sharing and have Myra, go ahead and post up this this little thing here that gives you the option to get this course. And there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. So for the next 24 hours, let me just post this one up first. Let's see, there's another one here. Okay, so for the next 24 hours, if you click this link, you can get $100 off the cost of this course. Now, some of you may be thinking that this course is probably about $1,000. There are some courses out there that maybe something similar that can cost you less or can cost you more. Everything that you get into this course is a culmination of my last decade of working with clients and of research. So you're getting the very best, and I'm constantly improving it. So you might think, well, this is going to cost about $1,000 or so. Well, no, it's $499. And there is a payment option, and we'll put that up too. But today, for the next 24 hours, you can take $100 off and get this for $399. Just today. After the day, the price goes back up, which is still a great deal. Okay. So there's the link. We're also going to send you an email out that has that link. And if you have any questions, you can always just email us. You have our email. You can visit the website. But go ahead and click that link. You've seen the course. You've seen what's in there. We drip it out so that you're not overwhelmed. We don't want people jumping around, not going through the process, because it's a process, it's a system. We want you to take your time and do it. But now's the time for you to do this, because if you wait until you go through an examination or you have a meeting, it's not too late, but then you've already created an impression of who you are. You've already built up another unsuccessful speaking experience. So what we want you to do is to get started now on this, and you can do this today and save yourself $100, right? 24 hours. Now, again, you're going to get a link in the email for this. You also, though, may want to just check out the details and look at the page that I just shared with you. We do have an easy payment plan option for you, and there's a coaching option. So some of you are going to be like, I really want to work with you one-on-one. And so there is a coaching option there as well. So then you're going to click this link. This link is going to take you to the page that we just looked at, and it's going to share with you all the options. Now, real quick, I'm going to take us right over to that page again. And then I'm going to answer some questions for you. So if we hop down here, you're going to see all the payment options. So you can do an installment plan. You can do a single pay option. And then there's also coaching. Now, here's something that I've never really done before. There's a guarantee. I don't want you to register for this course if you're already thinking, I'm going to try it out and see if it works. And then if it doesn't, I'll get the guarantee, right? So this is how this works. You need to get in and you need to do the work. And if you do the work, you're going to get results. You need to set realistic expectations. Don't get in and think, oh, in 1 week, I'm just going to, my speech is going to be absolutely perfect, right? Because that's not going to happen. Now, for some people, they're going to get in and boom, their speech is going to change. It's going to transform relatively quickly. But be realistic. Do the work. Set realistic expectations. There's some worksheets that you're going to have to turn in, because that just tells me that you're sincere, that you're doing the work. But I stand behind this program. I've stood behind my other programs, but this one is one that I'm willing to offer a guarantee. But I only want you to register if you know that you're going to be committed. Do not register if you already know that, yeah, I'll just try it out and, for a couple of weeks and then I'll just get my money back. Okay, because it doesn't work like that. You need to be committed. You need to do the work. But there is a guarantee, right? And I will honor that guarantee if you honor your part and you do the work that you need to do. Okay, so make sure that you take advantage of that. How does this work? Very, very easy. Very, very easy. If you're on this webinar or you're watching this before 24 hours is up and you want to do this, click the button, click the link that gets you the $100 off. Take advantage of that now. Then start working through the program. It's going to drip out. It's going to give you some prerequisites. Some of you may have seen the prerequisites before. Everything else are brand new videos that I've recorded other than some of the prerequisites. So start working through this, taking small, easy steps. And then the last thing is that you actually have to get out and begin to use it, right? You actually have to get out and begin to use what you're learning. Okay? So let's go ahead and get to some questions. All right. I'm just going to go through some of the questions that we have and start from the bottom. Okay. So what do you do? What do you do if you've had many unsuccessful speaking experiences? Saying just a word like present, feeling anxious as your number, getting approached while your attendance is being marked at college, and how to use modeling. Okay, so exactly. So say that you have to say something like present or whatever the word is. I think I shared the story with you before. When I was in the military, I had to call my platoon to attention. I was an officer, and you had to say, attention. And one of the first times I had to say it, that word wouldn't come out of my mouth. This is the closest to your particular situation. It wouldn't come out. I was very embarrassed. I'm the platoon leader, officer, so I had to call up my platoon sergeant and say, can you go ahead and dismiss the platoon? So he did. And I explained to everyone what happened. And from then on, I worked on a way to get the air flowing. This is a very, very tactical technique. But first, I stopped focusing on the word attention and started focusing on the sound that I'd make before attention, right? Like just a sound like and not the attention, but the and I focused on saying it differently. So I didn't focus on just saying attention, but I focused on saying it with some authority, saying it with a stylish way, using my whole body. I never had problems saying it again. But one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. So I was able to always say after that. There was always a little bit of fear that maybe I wouldn't be able to get it out. But the more successes I had, so sometimes it's a matter of adding a little sound in front of it. Another issue I used to have was saying hello, answering the phone. So I started saying, yes, hello. Nobody cares. Lots of people say yes, hello, right? You say it so quick, they barely even hear the yes. These are tactical ways to trick your brain into saying what you want to say. You need to say attention, you need to say present, you need to say hello, say yes, hello, right? Or just add a little something in front of it. What does that do? It creates a new track record of success. Now, if you think, well, I can't do that, then there's nothing that you can do, right? Because you've already backed yourself into a corner, given yourself no options. Now you feel more anxious because you feel like I have to do it this way. The more options you have, the freer you are. So you say, oh, I can say this, I can add this in front of it. Oh, I feel more relaxed. Okay, I can say that, right? And once you start saying it, you stop thinking about it, and then you're able to say it more easily. So I've had people say, oh, I can't do that. You can always do something. You can always add something. So that's my response to that. You may or may not like it, but it's true and it works. I've helped so many people with it as well. Okay, so the first week of 3 months, how long should I model a short clip from step 1 before moving to another clip? And how many clips should I model? So you're talking specifically about the modeling clips in the program. So you want to model a clip for at least a couple of weeks, because the first period of time that you spend is going to be getting the words. The words are important, but not as important as the style, not as important as you actually feeling like your model. So you have to be able to feel like your model. So once you've gotten the words and the style, we call this micro modeling. You're getting facial expressions, hand gestures, voice inflection, right? You're getting all those things down, and you start to feel at least a little like someone else or a little like your model. Then you can move on to another clip. Because sometimes people get bored with the same clip. Move on to another clip. That's going to be different for different people. For some people, it's a couple of weeks. For some people, it's a month. Totally up to you. But I'd say if you practiced rigorously that clip for a couple of weeks, you'd probably be ready after that time to move on. Okay. Thanks for your hard work. Senior IT students speak fluent most of the time, but sometimes you get nervous, anticipate. Can't say what I want to say. I change a lot of words, which hurts me inside. I have 3 questions. In my life, I've experienced ups and downs in my speech, and I even went fluent for almost a year that I even forgot that I had a problem with my speech, but it comes back to me after a while, how to avoid that. So it'd be interesting to find out what was going on that allowed you to go fluent for a year, right? That would be interesting to find out why. But one of the keys to this program is it's about changing your speaking identity, right? It's not just about the techniques. Like I shared a technique. That's a technique. And that's fine, and that can work in the moment. What we really have to do is change the way we see ourselves, who we believe ourselves to be as speakers. You'll always hear me say this. The how, in part, is modeling. In part, it's also learning the speaking skills, but also it's about going out and creating more and more successful speaking experiences. In order to create successful speaking experiences, you necessarily must have unsuccessful speaking experiences. It's just like me with my Spanish, or you with any other. You get out there, you're speaking, you're not going to be able to always say what you want to say, but the more you do it and the more you find and create those little successes, right? And you understand you're probably going to initially have more unsuccessful speaking experiences than you do successful. But the more you do it, and you expect that I'm probably going to have more unsuccessful experiences than successful, but I'm going to get out and use what I'm learning. And part of what you're learning is the self-talk, like the audio listening, but the self-talk, the reminding yourself, okay, just relax, just slow down, it's okay. Okay, how would your model speak right now? How would your model feel right now? To do that in the moment. Once you learn how to do that, you will start to experience more successes. And then you celebrate those successes as we talk about in the prerequisites. You celebrate them and you build momentum and you start to see more. As soon as you say, okay, I need to be able to get out and speak successfully right now, more than not, and I'm going to just use this technique, you set yourself up for failure, right? You got to look for small incremental successes, and you need to apply everything that you're learning, the self-talk, the modeling. You got to apply it in real life speaking situations. My clients who get out and who are forced to speak on a daily basis, those are the ones who do the best. The ones who are not forced to speak and they can pick and choose, they don't do as well. So you have to get out and you have to speak. And you're going to go through some dips, but you're going to come out on the other end very well. So how do you do it? You change your speaking identity. How do you do that? You follow what's in the program, but you have to get out and apply it as often as you can. And you look for incremental successes, just little small successes, and you build those up. I can remember where I would put myself, I'd go to a Latin American country and stay there for like weeks. And initially it was hard, messing up, blocking, stuttering, whatever you would call it. Couldn't say stuff I wanted to say. Hammered away, kept going out, speak to people at restaurants. And the next thing you know, in about a week, Spanish starts getting more fluent, right? Start feeling more confident, right? Couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, bam. Somebody told me, hey, you're speaking too much, right? So I'm telling you, you just have to get out and you have to do it, because if you don't, then it won't work, right? Okay, let's see what else we got here. When I trigger modeling, should I focus on modeling, feeling like my model, or should I focus on the messages of Vic and Rick? So yeah, we talk about Vic and Rick in this program. Some of you are already in my older program, but we also talk about Vic and Rick in this program without going into detail. Modeling is a part of Vic and Rick. Value, you think about the value that you're offering. Impact, that's where the modeling is. How am I speaking? How am I engaging the person I'm speaking with, right? That's modeling. I'm engaging them because I'm speaking like my model. Remember, you don't have to model forever, but I'm modeling. Clarity, that's also am I speaking clearly? Am I articulating? Is my message clear? That's also modeling. So modeling is a part of it. So you focus on Vic, and modeling is a part of it. Okay, when I focus only, just only being relaxed, I don't have to say anything to model. My mind automatically knows how to model. But when I focus on how to speak, what to say to myself, I get stuck more. So when you focus only on just being relaxed, you don't have to do anything else when you focus on how to speak. So you have to figure out what to focus on to trigger smooth speech, right? Ultimately, modeling is to help you get to smooth, calm, clear, confident speech. You have to figure out what triggers it for you. For some people, just tell themselves to slow down triggers that modeling state. For other people, they ask themselves, how would my model speak right now? Just going to become my model. For other people, they may focus on extending their words, and that, or for others, it's using their hands. So you figure out what it is that you need to tell yourself and or do in the moment that helps you speak the smoothest, that helps you speak differently than the way you usually speak. And then you keep triggering that until it's time for you to focus on something else. Okay, let's go back and see. All right, so a couple more things. First, some of you may have seen a video that we did some years ago with one of my previous coaching clients named Sakshi. And Sakshi's here today, and she'll be joining us in our next webinar. We want to try to do these over the next few weeks. And she is now at Harvard, right? So when I worked with her years ago, she was in India. She now has her master's in clinical counseling and clinical psychology, right? She's now at Harvard working on another master's, and she'll be joining us to assist with coaching. Now she's taking a higher level coaching program with me, but she'll also be doing some coaching for the program. And she has done coaching with us, for us before. She's actually coached clients. So she's trained, and we'll be doing some advanced training with her. You'll be seeing her. You'll be seeing some videos of her on YouTube, coming through email, and in our groups. So some of you already know who she is. Others of you don't, but you will be seeing her. And we're confident that some of you are going to want to coach with Sakshi because of her vast knowledge and personal experience with the program and her education. Okay. So just wanted to introduce her. Again, you will see more of her. And again, we're confident that some of you will want to work with Sakshi. Some of you want to work with both of us, but we're confident some of you will see her and go, wow, I really want to work with her. Okay. All right. We're going to just take this one last question and wrap up. So I went down to the dorm almost my entire life and had so much fun, but one day I got stuck in presentation and it was not really bad, but I started anticipating it kind of slowly disappear. Yes, this can happen. One of the things that happens when you transform your speaking identity, you're hearing me say this, right, is that when you get stuck, it doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter. It's like a bump in the road. One of the things that we talk about in the program is bump in the road. It's a bump in the road, right? And you got to take this seriously, because when you listen to the audio, you'll hear me say things. You got to keep listening to it, because it can make all the difference in the world in your success or failure. So do I get stuck sometimes? Better believe it, right? Everyone gets stuck, but other people just don't notice it. It just doesn't bother them. They don't care that you'll hear them right? And they're getting stuck. They don't stutter. They don't see themselves as stutter, but they get stuck. They don't even think about it. Same thing with me. If I get stuck, I don't even think about it. And if I do think about it, it's in reflection. Okay, why did that happen? How can I fix that? Right? So when you change your speaking identity, you don't see yourself as a stutterer. Therefore, you don't anticipate it. You don't think about it. You don't worry about it. You just keep moving on, speaking smoothly. If you see yourself still as a stutterer, but you're using techniques, then you get stuck. You're more likely to anticipate. You're more likely to think about it. Uh-oh, why is this coming back? So you change that speaking identity. How? It's in the program, the modeling, right? And the getting out there, creating more and more successful speaking experiences. When you do that, your brain has all of these memories of you speaking well. That is who you become. You are your experiences. Okay, this is who I am. And even if I get stuck, that's not who I am. It's just something I did. That's how this works. Okay? All right. Okay, so Sakshi here said, thank you so much for introducing. And she's really excited about working with us. And again, you will see her. She's be a great value add to the team. And we're really looking forward to having her, especially in the next webinar. All right, so here's someone, I said I was going to answer one more, but we'll take another minute and we'll close. Someone's afraid of speaking to people, especially people in authority, because of stuttering. 80 years old and too old to change. So as we get older, I'm in my 50s now, just had a birthday. As we get older, it becomes a little more difficult to change. But if we want to change, we can change, and we can change incrementally, right? Now, if we don't have any reason to change, if there's no motive to change, then we're probably not going to. So Denise, if there's something that you want to do with your life, with the rest of your life, because you're still here, obviously, and it's going to require speaking, and you feel really driven to do that, there are some situations and things that you can do to incrementally change the way you speak. Just very, small, easy steps. Obviously, you'll have to be willing to take these small, easy steps, and there has to be something that you really want to accomplish with your speech so that you'll even be motivated to do that. And that's true for everyone, right? But if there's no reason, if there's no motive, it's just like, oh, I've been doing this for a long time. I'd like to change, but you're probably not going to do it, right? But if you're like, you know what, I really would like to get out and do this, and I'm willing to take some small steps. I'm not going to look for huge results. Guess what? You can do it. Okay. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Modeling sometimes becomes difficult to do in our mother tongue to make sure that we should model in another. All right, so we'll do that. You can model in your mother tongue. Again, most of my clients are bilingual. Some only speak in their other language most of the time. You can model someone like myself and transfer the skills into your own language. And or you can find a secondary model who you admire, who doesn't speak super fast in your own language, and use that person in addition to me. Many of my clients find that they don't need to do that. If you do the modeling and you apply the skills, you bring the skills over, then you find that it does help you in your own language. You do develop a new speaking identity without having to have a model in your language. But some of you may feel like you need to, and that's okay. You can find a model in your language, but you need to find someone that you can watch their videos, you can study, you can practice speaking like them. Okay? All right.